You are watching an ORACLOUD Plus Training as a Service video snippet. Snippets are concise, targeted tutorials explaining how to use, configure, integrate, deploy, and support Oracle's Fusion Cloud applications. Snippets are delivered via FAST, the Fusion Application Support Tool. FAST is accessible via the web at www.oracloud.plus. No more watching hours of learning path style videos to get to the 5-minute snippet you need. Learn Oracle's Fusion Cloud applications in minutes, not hours. Hello and welcome to the Procurement Taxonomy video presentation. This video is intended for beginners looking to learn more about Oracle's Fusion Cloud applications. It explains the procurement browsing and item category taxonomy, which is central to all Procurement Cloud deployments, plus a little bit of how they're all translated and integrated with external remote catalogs. This video, as with all OCP video snippets, can be found within our FAST tool, which is our Fusion Application Support tool. Once in FAST, it's in the Procurement Cloud Training Group and the Intro to Procurement Cloud Training Center under the Learn menu option. If you don't have access to FAST, email your name and your contact information to access@oracloud.plus. Okay, so key topics are as follows, and there's a few of these. Categories and catalogs, functional area catalogs, requesting categories, browsing categories, category-based defaulting, National Institute of Government Purchasing or NIGP, the United Nations Standard Products and Services Codes or UNSPECs, Punchout categories, and then finally, mapping Punchout cats to Fusion cats. Okay, so let's get started here. Categories and catalogs. Categories are created within one catalog. Categories in one catalog can be shared with another catalog. Functional area catalogs. Certain catalogs are aligned with functional areas. For example, purchasing has its own functional area catalog. Requesting categories. The purchasing functional area catalog, or FAQ, controls which categories can be seen within the category dropdown on the requisition pages. Browsing categories. Browsing categories can be rolled up to create the Shop by Category dropdown that's in the upper left of the requisition page, or in default general ledger accounts, or what they'll call natural accounts, within Tab, the transaction account builder. That's the animal that defaults or overrides different segments within the chart of accounts. Category-based defaulting. So item categories are used to default the following and more: commodity-based approval routing, buyer assignment, GL or natural account assignment, which we just talked about, sourcing supplier invites, so you can tag suppliers during registration and then recall them or invite them to events, again, using the same categories, enabling purchase-specific questions, so we have DFFs that can do that, shop by category as mentioned, and then lastly, reporting. 6, National Institute of Government Purchasing or NIGP. You can see an explanation here on the left, but it's the most widely used government taxonomy. It creates translation issues though, because few suppliers use that. So oftentimes, if you are coming from a supplier, you need to translate what is most often UNSPEC into, in this case, NIGP. So speaking of UNSPEC, this is the United Nations Standard Product and Service Codes. So you can see again, Wikipedia information on the left. This is the most widely used commercial taxonomy, but the volume of category options creates usability issues if adopted in full. There's almost or more than 65,000 different end state categories, and that's just too much for most users to digest. So there's a couple different tricks and ways that you can get around it, but most companies will use a modified version of UNSPEC based on the line of business they're in. Next, Punchout categories. So Punchout suppliers, and I mentioned this a minute ago, largely use UNSPEC coding and will include the UNSPEC code with the returning shopping cart. That's important because then Fusion can begin to set defaults around assets or GL or different things that it needs to know based on that unspec code and its mapping. So let's talk about that. Mapping Punchout categories to Fusion categories. So what you can see here is that Fusion uses supplier content maps to translate the supplier categories into Fusion categories. So right next to that dialog box, you see that Amazon, HP, and Office Depot have different series of unspec or something. Then you see Fusion content maps, which map hardware, software, and furniture to different unspec accounts. Now, if they're all using unspec, you can use one map. If they're all using something modified, then you may end up modifying. There are, it's worth noting, different versions of unspec. Traditionally, somebody like IBM has been behind or on an older version of unspec. I don't know if they are today or when you're hearing this video, but just keep in mind there's different versions of unspec. But you ultimately take whatever categories the supplier has, use content maps to map those to your Fusion categories, whatever they are. Okay, so are you ready for the next video? Well, do you understand the different types of categories? Do you understand what categories default? And do you understand the whole process of linking supplier cats into Fusion cats so you can translate inbound or returning carts and you're able to set different defaults within Fusion? If the answer is no, then either watch again or feel free to reach out to me directly. You can see here on the left, that's my email address, and I'm always available to answer questions. If the answer is yes, great, then maybe you want to watch more video. So you can go to our playlist out on YouTube by going to YouTube and searching on ORACLOUD Plus Inc. Or you can go from our website to the tool we call FAST, the Fusion Application Support Tool, and you can access the full catalog of our Learn, Use, Configure, Integrate, Deploy, and Support videos online. So that's it for this tutorial. We hope you found it informative and keep watching.